Alright guys, today we're going to talk about the ruler of the Sumerian underworld, Ereshkigal. You may find her face to be a bit familiar, and you wouldn't be wrong. She is indeed inside the body of Ren-Tosika. In grand order, her summoning is possible due to her possessing Ren's soul. Now, the translations for Ereshkigal's background are pretty vague. Some information, including her true parents, will vary depending on what source you go by. What does remain the same is that sometime after her birth, she was carried off to the underworld by the dragon Kerr and assigned to be its ruler. This place was now her new home, and even deities, such as herself, did not have the power to leave. It's not hell per se, but more like an underground cave where spirits go after death. And even then, those spirits will also deteriorate after time. This is when we enter the descent of Ishtar, the one and only thought overlord, and Ereshkigal's younger twin sister. The two are actually counterparts, Ishtar being the goddess of life and Ereshkigal being the goddess of death. And since they have natures that are opposite to one another, they pretty much had this natural rivalry going on from the get-go. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Ishtar sent down the Bull of Heaven, Gugalana, to terrorize the city of Uruk. After Gugalana was slain, Ishtar decided to take a journey to the underworld to partake in his funeral. She makes her way to the entrance, which is said to be located in Zargus Mountains. That's right, if you ever feel like kicking it with the goddess of death, then by all means, book a flight. Just know that you can't come back. But if that means I get to be stuck there with her, then sign me up, man. Now, when you get to this entrance, you'll have to pass through the 7 gates. Each gate is assigned with a gatekeeper, and collectively they're called the Ananu. When a soul passes through these gates, they must remove an article of clothing at each stop. Ishtar was no different. She gets to the first gate and told them if they don't let her in, she's gonna bust the gate down. She also claimed that she was there for Gugalana's funeral, and as usual, the chief guardian told her that she must follow tradition. Ishtar made a big deal about it, but she went along with it nonetheless. At the first gate, she took off her crown. Next, it was her staff, her necklace, the beads on her breast, her golden ring, her breastplate, and finally, her garments of ladyship. These items were also part of what gave her power. In the Sumerian version, when she made it through the gates, she was now naked and powerless in the presence of Ereshkigal. Here's the thing, Gugalana was also the first husband of Ereshkigal, and Eresh knew that she was not there to attend his funeral. Ishtar was the one that got him killed in the first place. She was actually there to usurp Ereshkigal's throne. How trifling. Eresh hasn't been to Earth's surface because she's always been stuck in the underworld. And even after living a life of lavish, Ishtar still came to her domain and tried to make that hers too. After consulting with the Ananu, Eresh came to the conclusion that Ishtar ain't shit. They gave her the look of death, turned her body to a corpse, and hung that corpse on a stake for everyone else to see. So, here's the interpretation of this poem. Ishtar went to the underworld to face the dark side of herself. When she gets killed, the god Enki orders Eresh to give up the waters of life in order to bring Ishtar back. And this just goes to show how Ishtar is pampered and has the leeway to pull these strings whenever she wants. Even though Eresh doesn't want to do it, she does, and in that moment, she becomes the goddess of fertility or the goddess of life. Ereshkigal and Ishtar became one and the same. So, taking that poem into consideration, in fate, Ishtar and Ereshkigal are able to be summoned at the same time in the same body due to the relation they had in the actual myth. Now, fast forward to a later myth, and she's formed a relationship with the god of war, Nergal. So the gods were having a banquet, But since Eresh is stuck in the underworld and can't leave, she has no way of receiving her portion. However, her son Namtar has the ability to move back and forth between heaven and the underworld. So, using the stairway to heaven, he goes up to the banquet to get her part of the feast. When he got there, everybody stood up in order to pay homage to his mother. Everybody except Nergal. When Eresh heard about the situation from her son, she was like, "Oh, really? Well, tell them to send Nergal down here, and we'll see if he's still about that life." In the Sumerian version, he went down with a group of demon escorts who were assigned to hold open the doors. By normal standards, when you go to the underworld and they shut the gates, someone has to replace your soul in order for you to escape. Since Nergal had 2 demons that held open each door, this was not required. He walks in, grabs Eresh by the hair, and drags her off the throne, threatening to cut her head off. She conceded, gave the kingdom to him, and became his wife as well. I will say the current Eresh we have right now only depicts the first portion of her life, very similar to the betrayal of Archer Gilgamesh. So the part when Nergal comes in isn't canon to Fate, but I did want to get that info out there. She's still the only one there, and she's still the main ruler of the underworld. Look, man, I don't know how the Bull of Heaven was Ereshkigal's husband, even though she was stuck in the underworld the whole time. But you know what? I wasn't there, so I'm not gonna say anything. The suggestion comes from Evil Jagan. He's a fellow Fate YouTuber, primarily for Grand Order. He's got guides, servant breakdowns, and a bunch of other cool things over on his channel. So if you're interested, be sure to head over there and check him out. But not before you finish my video. Anyways, he says that Reen is best girl, Reen faces are the best faces, fight him. That about wraps it up. If you enjoyed the video, please like it up so we can get this trending. Feel free to add information as you see fit, and let me know what you guys think about it. It's your boy Tsiah. I'm out. 901 Shelby Drive, look alive.